Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final webinar of the year as part of our Excel Your Well webinar series that we launched in 2025 for Excellus BlueCross BlueShield members. I want to start out by thanking each of you for taking the time out of your day, most likely your lunch hour, to join us here today for our Healthy Holidays Eat, Drink, and Be Mindful workshop. My name is Katie Keller-Burgess, and I am part of the wellbeing team here at Excellus BlueCross BlueShield. So I will be the host for today's webinar, teeing up our guest speaker and registered dietitian, Lindsay Ledoux. Now, the holidays are truly right around the corner, and this time of year often brings many of us together around the table for joy, for laughter, and yes, for lots of food. But making smart choices with your nutrition can help make the season even sweeter. So today's session is all about balance, enjoying festive foods while keeping your well-being in check. So let's dive into some strategies that will help you savor the season mindfully. Now, just starting off with a few housekeeping items, please note that today's webinar and all of our 2025 Excel Your Well webinars are being recorded and housed on our Excellus BlueCross BlueShield YouTube page. So if you need to go back and listen to this one, or maybe access a previous recording webinar on a various health and wellness topic, once again, you have on-demand access through our YouTube, and my colleague Kate just put in the chat the link directly to that YouTube channel, once again, if interested in viewing those webinars. Another housekeeping item that I do want to call out is that all participants' microphones and cameras are automatically disabled. Now, there will be time at the end of the webinar for questions with Lindsay. So if you do have any questions at any point throughout today's webinar, please feel free to enter them into either the Q&A, as you see here at the top of your screen. You should see a Q&A icon. You can enter a question there, or as well as within the chat if more comfortable. So once again, utilize those two features to ask any questions, and we'll get to questions at the end with Lindsay. And the last housekeeping item that I want to call out is that it is important to note that the content covered here today is meant to be educational in purpose. But of course, if you have any specific health-related question or concern, we recommend connecting with your primary care provider. Or if you have any benefit-specific related question or concern, we do recommend calling the customer care number that's on the back of your health insurance card. All right, so let's learn a little bit about today's speaker. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing one of my own team members here on the wellbeing team, Lindsay Ledoux. Now, Lindsay is a registered dietitian and has been so for over 11 years, as well as a graduate of Syracuse University. Her background includes a unique variety in the field, including working in workplace wellness, K-12 nutrition, data transformation, nutrition counseling, and more. She is also a certified ACE group fitness instructor, and she currently supports commercial employer groups as a well-being engagement consultant here at the health plan. Now, her personal wellness philosophy involves intuitive eating, movement, as well as a whole person approach to health. And outside of work, you can often find her exploring outdoor trails, dancing at the studio, cheering on her beloved SU sports teams, or spending time with her friends, family, and of course, her beloved dog. So, Lindsay, we are so excited and honored to have you here with us today. With that being said, I will turn the stage over to you.
Thank you so much, Katie, and thank you to everyone for joining today. I'm so excited to be here with you, and no matter what you celebrate this month, I think the topics we will talk about today can really be helpful for any time of year. So just a quick snapshot of our agenda as we get started today. We will talk about practicing regular balanced eating, navigating holiday gatherings with a little bit less stress, hopefully, some mindful and intuitive eating strategies. We'll talk about planning for success, some tips for eating on the go, and then some additional well-being strategies before we kick it off to Katie for resources offered by Excellus BlueCross BlueShield. So I hope this webinar provides some practical strategies that you can implement into your daily life easily, starting with practicing regular balanced eating. So I think there's often a common misconception that skipping meals is good for things like weight loss. But skipping meals can actually be associated with a higher risk of things like metabolic syndrome, obesity, stress, and even depression. So when we go too long between meals, our body really tries to compensate by producing more cortisol, which is that stress hormone. Our mood and our energy can be negatively affected. And we've all likely found ourselves in that situation where we are hangry. It's a popular word that we've been tossing around lately. And glucose is really our brain's preferred energy source. So when we don't eat enough, we tend to crave things like carbs and sugar more. So if we're allowing ourselves to get to that level of hunger, we're often eating more out of survival mode. So some helpful tips include scheduling breaks and lunch into your workday, like important meetings that you can't miss. We know that things come up and urgent situations happen, but as much as you can, try to put it on your calendar. Put reminders in your phone if you need to. Make sure you're eating enough throughout the day, and of course, start strong with breakfast. So many of us have heard that phrase, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and I think for very good reason. So powering up with breakfast can really help us set the tone for the day. It gets our metabolism going and provides energy that we need. So focus on including things like protein, healthy fats, fiber-rich carbohydrates. I put a few examples here, and there are plenty of others, but one important note that I always like to share is that something is better than nothing. So you can customize and individualize this advice to you. So for example, if you are always in a rush in the morning and maybe cereal is a more realistic option for you, think about what you can add to it to help satisfy you until your next meal or snack. So maybe that is some nuts or some seeds, maybe some berries, choosing a whole grain cereal with some fiber in it. Or maybe you're in a really big rush that day and you don't have any time, and something like a protein bar and a piece of fruit is more realistic. So you can always customize that advice to you and your preferences. And then the last one here, also a reminder to not be afraid of snacks. They can really help us meet our daily energy needs, and snacking with intention can help us bridge those gaps between meals, especially if you're going a long time before eating again. So snacks are an easy way to add in nutrients too. So I often recommend trying to get at least 2 food groups in per snack. Maybe that's a protein and a whole grain, or a fruit and a dairy, for example. And we'll touch on a few ideas later too. So just to summarize this first piece, I know it can be so tempting to jump right into work emails and other priorities right first thing in the morning, but make sure you're doing something to prioritize your health during this hectic time of year. Start the day with breakfast. Think about when you can carve out a little time to eat so you have the energy to not only get through the day, but to hopefully enjoy this season too. One of the main messages I hope to share today is that we can really both care for our health and experience joy with food. So a few considerations as we get started today. What can you add versus restrict? So maybe that is more veggies to your plate, or adding some time to sit down and enjoy your meal. Also focusing on whole foods when possible. So things like fruits and veggies and lean protein sources, whole grains, are not always readily available at these holiday events, but when they are, consider trying to add them to your plate. Of course, our favorite word, one of our favorite words in the nutrition world is moderation, so we can practice moderation. You can still honor your cultural and family traditions. And then another favorite tip that I love to share is that you can implement small changes at any time. So often I think we get that Monday or January 1st is really the be all end all day that all those changes have to take place. But for example, if all you ate today were cookies, you can start at your next meal, maybe including some protein, some whole grains, some veggies. So no need to start overhauling everything on Monday or January 1st. So many of us experience some element of added stress during the month of December. And while it can be, as Katie alluded to, very joyful, this time of year can also bring added pressure and a wide range of emotions for many of us. So if there's one takeaway from today, I hope it's that being present in the moment is better than obsessing over what you ate at one meal or one snack occasion. Patterns over time are really the key here for overall health. And remember, it's often a special occasion versus what we're eating regularly on a daily basis. So practice a non-judgmental approach to eating, both for yourself and for others. Be sure to give yourself grace and tune into what will work for you individually. And many people will have opinions on the best way or what to eat or when to eat. We've heard a lot of opinions flying around, but we don't have to be responsible for changing anyone's mind. You can always politely do what's best for you, whether that looks like declining a food item or enjoying it at any given time. And the holidays are often tied to those indulgent dishes and desserts that are all over the place now, and that's definitely okay. Food is often a great social connector and can be associated with a lot of positive memories for a lot of us. So here are some ways to help find some balance. So first, consider offering to bring a healthy dish. So I've listed some ideas here, things like toasted or spiced nuts, maybe a cheese, fruit, and veggie tray, whole grain muffins. You could try a colorful winter salad, maybe adding some orange slices or pomegranate seeds or things like whole grains to that. If you'd like to experiment with some healthy swaps, you could always swap half the butter in a muffin recipe with something like unsweetened applesauce, for example. And this time of year can also bring on some additional financial considerations or strain for many of us. So if you're hosting, consider something that's a little bit more cost effective. So like brunch, for example, things like eggs, yogurt parfait bar that you can customize, maybe a whole grain waffle bar. You can always use things like frozen fruit. Something that our family does is use frozen fruit, add it to a little frying pan with some cinnamon. It makes a nice little topping. You can also add items to help stretch recipes a little bit further. So you could add things like rice or beans to soups or stews. You could also add things like frozen vegetables to pasta. It helps take those meals a little bit further. And then next, check in with your emotions. So notice when stress is influencing your eating decisions. This year often is a lot of added stress. So it's absolutely okay to enjoy those comforting foods, but finding that balance of enjoying the food and building awareness of what works best for us and our health is really the key there. So explore ways to manage your emotions without food, whether that looks like meditation or journaling or talking to a friend. It's very common to eat emotionally at times, and I think we've all been there at some point, but we can work on building that awareness of when it happens and maybe trying to start looking at alternative methods to cope. So I know we would love food to solve all our issues, but it can't do that, unfortunately. So check out some of those alternatives and see what works best for you. We can also vary our beverage choices. So be sure to stay hydrated with water throughout the day. You can always add a twist to make it a little bit more exciting, something like mint or fruit slices. You can also explore some mocktails. They're becoming more and more popular, both for health and for personal preference reasons. I think we've seen a big growth in that area. So something like sparkling ginger water with a little bit of cranberry juice and lime is a good example. And then, of course, being around alcohol may be more likely during these gatherings. And we know dietary guidelines state that drinking less alcohol is better for our health than drinking more. But if you're over 21, try to limit it to 1 drink per day for women and 2 drinks or less per day for men. And then I have a little comforting cocoa recipe here at the bottom. If you need a little break from a lot of added sugar that's around this time of year, you could consider adding your milk of choice, heating it up, maybe add a little cocoa powder, vanilla, or mint extract, maybe a little bit of honey or maple syrup, and cinnamon can be a nice little evening beverage. Our next strategy is to practice mindful and intuitive eating. And mindful and intuitive eating are often used interchangeably. There is some overlap, but there are also some differences. But both approaches overall are really helpful for our overall well-being. So a very brief overview today, but mindful eating really focuses on the eating experience. So using all of our senses to observe the look, the smell, the taste, and tune into how we feel physically when we're eating something. On the other hand, intuitive eating is a little bit more overarching concept, and it involves 10 key principles, starting with rejecting the diet mentality. So this one is really about building a healthier relationship with food. And part of intuitive eating is honoring our hunger and making peace with food. So trying to release those food police thoughts that we often have, looking at certain foods as good and certain foods as bad. So remember, you can both honor your health and your hunger this holiday season. Just take it moment by moment, and we could spend a lot more time on this specific topic. But for the sake of today and time, I'm going to move into a few strategies that you can use to support mindful eating, intuitive eating, or both. So some topics to consider: explore your mindset. Oh, so are you going into an event so focused on restriction that it makes it really difficult to enjoy it? How can we transform guilt into curiosity if we overeat, for example? And we'll get into that more next. Slow down and enjoy. So we know there's a lot of different foods that we often don't have this time of year that are more available to us, or maybe it's a special recipe that is something that you have in your family. Slow down and enjoy it. We don't often get that throughout the year. Savor the food and taste it, and use all of your senses to eat mindfully. Listen to those hunger and fullness cues. And I have a list of words here at the bottom, just as a reminder that all foods have some type of purpose depending on the moment that we're in. So that may look like eating something now, using food as fuel, because we know it'll be a while before we can eat again that particular day. Or it might look like comfort, connection, satisfaction. So making cookies with a loved one and enjoying them together. So food has a lot of different purposes for us. So as a small goal this holiday season and beyond, see if you can aim for one meal per day that is free of distractions, or 5 minutes if that feels more realistic for you, or even 2 minutes, which is probably more likely at this time of year as we head into a very busy week for many of us. So you can also start with a smaller plate. You can allow yourself some time to digest. You can always go back for more later if you're hungry. Consider, as we mentioned previously, transforming that guilt that many of us feel into curiosity. So if you ate to the point of being uncomfortable, what might you do differently next time? Maybe it's more vegetables on your plate, or stopping halfway through so you can check in with yourself and see how you're doing. And then I have a little image here of a hunger scale. Try to eat before you dip below a 3 on that scale, and eat to about a comfortable 7. And this scale takes a lot of time to develop, but things like eating regularly, avoiding skipping meals, eating enough overall, making sure we're eating enough calories, enough carbohydrates, enough healthy fats, proteins, all of that can help. And if you do eat to that 10 on the end of the scale, try to tap into that as a learning experience versus dwelling in guilt. We've all been there. Think about what you may change for next time and just move forward. Our next strategy is planning for success. And planning time, we know, often goes out the window this time of year, which is 100% understandable with so many things on our plate. But here are a few ideas that can really help reduce that decision fatigue that many of us feel. And we also want to leave room for flexibility if that plan changes, because we know at this time of year, plans can change any second. But some ideas are listed here. Things like slow cooker meals, grain bowls are a great option. You can always customize them with different veggies, protein sources. You can make homemade soup. One that I enjoy is a snack plate style meal. It's a great way to use up any leftovers that you may have. You can try to aim for something from each food group, or at least 3 food groups if you can. So for example, if you have some leftover cheese and crackers, or hummus and carrot sticks, or maybe you have some olives or fruit or nuts on your plate that you have left over from the day before, And then you can also make things like a tray of roasted veggies and use them for several days, which can be really helpful. That concept of cook once and eat several times from it. You can also make extra dinner and eat the leftovers for lunch. This is also a really helpful tip if you are planning to travel this season. So you can freeze it, and it's one less thing that you have to think about. You can check it off your list for your return home. So you know you have something ready to go. You can also use convenience items. So things like frozen fruits and veggies are just as nutritious, if not more, than fresh because they're often picked at the peak of freshness. So we can look for options that don't have a lot of heavy sauces or added sodium. You can always get those plain bags and add your own seasoning, maybe a little olive oil. Things like rotisserie chickens, salad kits, microwavable brown rice, and low sodium canned beans can be really helpful to have on hand if you are trying to make a quick meal with limited time. And then the last one here, consider swapping dishes with friends or family. I often hear people say, it just seems like a lot of work and a lot of mess to make a meal for one person or two people that live in my household. So something you could consider is talking to friends or family that may want to swap. So you can make enough for maybe 4 servings. You can swap with them. It's a nice way to get some variety and maybe try something new, which is great. So, and then I have a little food for thought here at the bottom on the planning topic. So what is one small step you can take today to plan for tomorrow? So some ideas could be filling your water bottle the night before, so you're more likely to stay hydrated. I know personally, if I don't fill mine the night before, that is one small step that really helps me to stay hydrated. And if I don't, I often find that I'm not drinking enough until I get to lunch and remember to refill. So something as simple as that can help, or even just taking 5 minutes to chop up some veggies and keep them in your containers for the next couple days. That can be helpful. So this season may mean travel for some of us. So I thought we could highlight a few eating on the go tips. And we know that fast food is everywhere. It's inevitable that we will likely be in a rush and trying to manage either eating on the road or maybe at an airport at some point, if not during the holiday season, at some point during the year. So if you're looking for ways to make some more balanced choices, look for those grilled options, things like salads with protein. Build your own meals if they're available. That's a great way to be able to customize with things like brown rice or quinoa with some protein, some vegetables, things like baked potatoes or chili. Sometimes kids' meals will offer a little bit more balance. They might offer a fruit or a milk or a water as a beverage choice. And then think about which beverage choice will make you feel your best for the rest of the trip. So maybe that's something like water, milk, unsweetened iced tea. And definitely not saying that you can't ever have fried food or soda, but just knowing that this time of year tends to offer those more indulgent food options. Just wanted to share some alternatives outside of those main events. And another idea here is to pack some snacks if you're able to have a cooler. So things like baby carrots, pre-sliced apples, maybe some clementines, cheese sticks, and crackers. You can also have some of those non-perishable items on hand. It's just a good idea to have some of those in your car or at your desk, wherever you are. So things like fruit bar or dried fruit, even peanut butter and jelly or trail mix are good ideas too. And then we talked about earlier about trying to include at least 2 food groups per snack. So for example, apple and cheese, crackers and peanut butter, maybe a fruit bar and nuts. So trying to get at least 2 of those is a great idea. But again, we know that doesn't always happen. And one way to find some balance, lastly on that topic, is to try to include at least 1 fruit or vegetable with your meal. And we know that doesn't always happen, and that's okay. There may be days where we don't eat any vegetables, but one day, again, is not going to completely derail our health. So as long as we're not having 0 vegetables every day of the week, one day is really not going to be a huge problem. So we talked a lot about nutrition today, And while nutrition is, of course, important to our overall well-being, it is just one piece of the puzzle. So sleep, we know, helps to support our overall energy, our immune system, which is particularly helpful during this cold and flu season that we are in. 7 to 9 hours is generally recommended for most adults. And remember that rest is productive too. And then joyful movement. This is one of my favorites to recommend. Find your own version of what joyful movement means for you. So maybe it's playing games with your family after a meal or doing some chair stretches at your desk. A wintry walk, if it's appropriate and safe to do so. And the sun is shining where I am right now, and I hope that it is for you too. That's a good way to get in some steps and some movement into your day. Even a festive dance session in the living room. So even when you are looking at 5 minutes or you have 10 minutes, you feel like you just shouldn't work out at all because you don't have the full 30 minutes or an hour that you wish you had to go to the gym. Any movement that we can do can help towards our movement goals. So just remember to fit it in when you can, make it fun, and it's something that you'll be more likely to stick with. And then social connection, of course, I always recommend finding an accountability buddy to check in with. So one of my colleagues and I, he's gotten me in the habit of asking each other almost every single day, what's for lunch, what's for dinner? And it's not really about the content of the actual meal or the nutrition, but it's just a great reminder to take breaks, to practice what we preach, and to really prioritize eating. And then consider volunteering or helping others. We know that helping others can really help bring us a sense of purpose and is shown to have a lot of positive mental health benefits. And then I think last but not least, most importantly, seek support if you need it. In a few slides, Katie will talk about some of the different health plan resources, but please don't be afraid to reach out if you are looking for help. So to summarize, as we continue to navigate this very busy and festive and sometimes very stressful end of year time, prioritize that regular balanced eating and try to avoid skipping meals if you can. Be present and enjoy your food. This is often a really great time for celebration or reflection or just spending time with loved ones. You can definitely be mindful and enjoy, and guilt does not have to be an ingredient in your lineup this season or even into the new year. Try out some of those mindful and intuitive eating strategies that we talked about. Take one small step to plan for the next day, whatever that looks like for you personally. And of course, remember to remain flexible. I always tell people the stress of constant restriction is likely worse for your health than that one cookie that you've been thinking about, unless of course you're allergic or something along those lines. But enjoy it, check in with yourself, and remember that patterns over time are really the key versus that one eating occasion or one event. Add in fruits or veggies when you can, but remember you don't always have to have the perfect meal. And then finally, it's always important to prioritize our overall well-being, looking at the whole person. So mental health, physical health, and more. So of course, as we mentioned, nutrition is important. We love talking about nutrition and can do a lot of great things for us, but it is one piece. So be sure to give attention to the other areas of your well-being as well. So one last takeaway for you today. I want you to think about what is a one-word reminder that you can take with you into this holiday season. So you can put it on a sticky note or on your desktop somewhere where you see it frequently. But feel free to share your one word in the chat if you'd like. I'd love to see them all. But I will leave you with a reminder to approach each day and the people around you with compassion, curiosity, kindness, and grace this year, this season, and into the new year. So thank you so much and happy holidays, everyone. And I will turn it back over to Katie for health plan resources.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay. That was so much great information covered, and you can really tell your passion for really trying to help instill those small but really manageable lifestyle choices to hopefully help our well being in the long run. So I appreciate that. As mentioned, for any of you, if you have questions, please feel free to enter them into the chat or the Q&A, and we'll get to questions in just a couple minutes here with Lindsay. But as mentioned, we are going to take the next couple minutes to review some of the resources and programs available through the health plan. So I do want to call out that the availability of the programs that I am going to review here over the next few slides does vary by contract. But of course, if interested in exploring if one of these is available to you, we recommend either logging into your Excellus BlueCross BlueShield online account or calling that customer care number on the back of your health insurance card. So the first thing I wanted to highlight is our care management team here at the health plan. So this team is inclusive of a variety of healthcare professionals, including registered nurses, registered dietitians to really help our members with healthier eating, respiratory therapists, and more. And this team is really here for our members of all ages whenever you need us. Whether that be from little questions, maybe it is just looking to try to eat a little healthier, get some more nutrient dense foods in throughout your day, all the way up to big health challenges. An example I like to give is maybe somebody who is diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and that is really going to potentially impact, what you are eating, what you are consuming, etc. So once again, this care management team and those professionals on that team are here to help our members, providing that personalized support and guidance and being able to answer your questions directly to you. And all of this support and guidance is provided at no added cost to our members. So really, this team is here on the back end, ready to engage whenever you need us. Now you can see that they are available to engage, whether it be through phone, through email, or one of the ways to engage with the team is through the WellFrame app. Now, WellFrame is a free app that Excellus BlueCross BlueShield members can download and create your WellFrame account. And through that app, there's access to a variety of resources, programs, and modules regarding a variety of health topics. Things that you see listed here on this slide, whether it be for mental health concerns, around substance use, depression, stress, anxiety. Maybe it's looking for support around a chronic condition such as diabetes or high cholesterol or hypertension. Or maybe you're looking for information on weight loss, physical activity, smoking cessation. Once again, really the support and guidance provided to you through our care management team in that WellFrame app can really help. There is an embedded chat feature right in the WellFrame app that once you register and create that account and you log into the app, you can easily text your care manager questions that you may have, get that response, and really provide that flexibility and hoping to meet our members where they are. So once again, direct connection to our registered dietitians for free if you are looking for that added support and helping to, consume healthier foods and whatnot throughout the holiday season. So I do want to call out the access code for WellFrame when you go to register is Excellus Welcome, all one word, all lowercase. Now, the next program I'm going to review is ThriveWell. And ThriveWell is our digital home-based platform through Personify Health that is helping our members make small everyday changes to your well-being through, once again, a variety of programs, health and wellness challenges, healthy habit tracking, and more. So through Thrive Well, you are able to focus in on the areas that are most meaningful to you, whether it be trying to get more steps throughout the day, whether it be trying to eat more fruits and vegetables, as Lindsay mentioned, throughout your day, or maybe looking to better manage your stress levels. So through the platform, once again, a variety of tools and resources. There is a health risk assessment, a short questionnaire that really helps to identify areas of opportunity for your own well-being and provides those practical steps of, once again, how to engage within the platform to build those healthy habits and really experience the lifelong rewards of better health and well-being. So once again, this program availability does vary by contract, as well as the next program we're going to review is Food Smart, available through ThriveWell. So once again, the availability of this program varies, but if you do have access to ThriveWell, within the platform, you then have additional access to Food Smart, which is a digital nutrition platform that once again provides our members tools to help make sustainable changes to your eating behaviors. So it provides you with a tool that is called a NutriQuiz, really helping to identify, once again, your current eating habits, maybe identify where there are opportunities that you can improve upon. You're able to then get personalized tips, personalized recipes. Really, there is a vast database of recipes, for your various preferences, maybe time, budget, etc. You can actually create a digital grocery list automatically based on those selected recipes, so you're not kind of wandering around that grocery store. There's also additional tips and resources through blogs and more. So once again, if interested in accessing Food Smart for that additional support for healthy eating, you can do so directly through ThriveWell. And then the last program I wanted to highlight here is Blue 365. Now, many Excellus BlueCross BlueShield members are not aware of Blue 365, but it is an online marketplace that members can save money on various health and wellness related products and services, providing you discounts to things such as fitness gear, workout apparel, gym memberships. A big question I always get is there any type of gym membership benefit program available through my health insurance plan? Yes, through Blue 365, there is a variety of discounted gym membership programs such as Fitness Your Way, Active and Fit Direct, and more. So once again, if interested in exploring any of those, as well as additional deals on things such as nutrition. So if you're maybe trying to get some meal home delivery services for nutrition, some great deals and discounts on that, as well as hearing, vision, and more. So once again, highly encourage any member to sign up for Blue 365. It's free to sign your account up and then be able to explore, access any of those deals and discounts available through there. All right, so that wraps it up on kind of those additional resources and programs. Hopefully some things that people weren't aware of that you can utilize moving forward. So once again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us here today. My colleague Kate in the chat is going to put a little survey link. So we are asking any participant, if available and interested, to complete the short 2-minute survey that comes in the chat. Really helps provide feedback on this topic as well as future topics that our members are interested in learning more about to support your well-being. So thank you, Kate. Once again, that webinar survey just went into the chat. If you wouldn't mind taking a few minutes at the end just to complete that to provide that feedback. And then the last plug before heading into questions with Lindsay is a little promotion for our upcoming webinar in the new year. So, of course, January is a great time for many to refocus in on their health with resolutions. So we are having our behavioral health medical director, Dr. Anne-Marie Mikowski, give a webinar on how to rewire your routine, really the psychology behind building those healthy habits and hopefully helping them stick. So that webinar will be on Thursday, January 29th at 12:30. If you have your smartphone out and can scan the QR code, it'll bring you to that registration page. Or once again, my colleague Kate in the chat did put the direct link if interested in registering for this upcoming webinar as well. All right. So with that being said, we're going to move into the questions portion of the webinar. So if you do have any, please enter them once again into either the chat or Q&A. I'll head over there now and see if any have come in. All right. So Lindsay, first question for you. What would you say your best tip for staying satisfied with healthier options at holiday parties is? I know it can be very tempting with all the sweets, desserts, cookies, all that, but what's your biggest tip for helping to stay satisfied with those healthier options?
Yeah, great question. And I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've heard, and I try to live by if I can, and as we said throughout, it's not always possible, but if you have options like fruits, veggies, if you see something that's like a healthy fat option, try to add those to your plate first. Try to fill maybe half of your plate with fruits and veggies, and then leave the rest for those other fun foods or other options, if you will. So that's a good way to try to find some balance. But as we said, those aren't always available. That's okay. I think just starting with a smaller amount, and then you can always, as mentioned, check in with yourself, see how it's going, give yourself 15 to 20 minutes to digest that, and you can always go back for more if you need to.
Awesome. Question personally for me, I know throughout the holiday season, once again, I'm typically somebody who, if I know I'm going to be eating a lot, I try to kind of focus in on that time and keep it slim throughout the day. But I know you mentioned really keeping that appetite up, really fueling yourself throughout the day is best. But say, you go to a party, you eat a lot, and then I kind of recognize maybe I haven't had enough protein in throughout the day. So my go-to is usually protein shakes, but what are your thoughts on those? Are those good to kind of, get in the protein throughout the day if you stuck to more of the sweets and the carbs throughout the day, would you say?
Good question. I think protein shakes can be helpful for some people. There's so many different varieties out there. So if you do need help kind of narrowing it down, we do mention generally from just a dietetics back point that if you can stick to real food first, so if you have the option of real balanced meal, that's always your go-to. But protein shakes can be really helpful if you're in a pinch or you're on the road, on the go. So I think they definitely can have a place. Maybe if you don't have time to make breakfast that day, or if you are running between meetings at lunch. So again, something is better than nothing. And we have dietitians on staff who I'm sure would be very happy to help you customize that advice and maybe which options might work for you in those situations too.
Awesome. Thank you. And then another question that came through, I'm sure on many people's minds, just knowing how much cooking and baking goes into the holiday season, but do you have any simple, easy ingredient swaps for holiday recipes or maybe some recommendations on where to find them?
Sure. Yeah, this is a good one. So I always tell people up front, if you are having some kind of, family tradition cookie that's in your family and you want to make it exactly as is, I definitely wouldn't tell you to change that up. I think that's important to be able to maintain your traditions and enjoy those indulgent foods. But if you're looking for some easy swaps, I mentioned the applesauce for half the butter and maybe like a muffin recipe. Greek yogurt is another popular swap, but you can also find some great recipes. I know Katie mentioned Food Smart if your plan has Food Smart within Thrive Well, and things like American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association, eatright.org have some good options if you're looking for healthy recipes and healthy recipes for the holidays.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know personally for me, I don't know how you would feel about this, Lindsay, but sometimes when there's a recipe and it calls for milk or cream, I actually opt for a vanilla protein shake, just to add in some additional protein there. So just a little tidbit as well.
Personal preferences. I always tell people go back to your personal preferences, your individualized needs. If you have, chronic condition that you're dealing with, all of that advice can be customized. And we definitely have people that can help you if you're looking for help.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that looks to be all the questions that have come through. Just a lot of great feedback in the chat. Lindsay, this was a lot of great tips, tricks, very informative. So thank you once again for your insights, passion, and knowledge here today. We so appreciate it heading into the holidays next week, already around the corner. But once again, thank you to everyone for joining here today. Once again, a little plug for that survey if you wouldn't mind giving your feedback. And then we hope to see you in January for that upcoming webinar. But otherwise, wishing everyone a healthy, happy, and safe holiday season, and we will see you in the new year. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.